Thank you, Sam. Hello, you lovely lot. Fancy seeing you here on a Friday morning. And who'd have thought? Welcome to the News and Views with the EV Café. This week, we've got 30 minutes of what's happening in sustainable transport with expert analysis from the EV Café crew. Brought to you this week in partnership with the wonderful London EV Show. The EV Show in London. 28th to the 30th of November. We'll all be there for all 3 days. And Paul, we are fizzing for it.
Absolutely. We're getting to do another another EV Cafe Village, which will be fantastic. Some great people exhibiting both there and across the show. So it should be a pretty exciting few days.
And we've got podcasts coming with Sharik, one of the leaders of the team there, which should give us some great insights. Really looking forward to being there. Sam and Sarah, you'll both be there?
Yeah, oh, yes. Create. Oh, yes. yes.
Oh,
yeah.
No. It's not Churchill Expert today. It's the London EV Show. Anyway, we've already introduced the opinions on a stick. They are Paul, Sam and Sarah. So grab a cuppa and plug in to what's been happening in clean transport this week. Now, before we get started, are you well? We hope so. You guys, you all well?
Yes, very good.
I'm giving it 6.
Right, now, quite clearly, we are all at home. Paul's in his own home, not his mum's bedroom. Sam is in his little study. Sarah is in her beautiful cottage, and I'm at home. Where are you all today? Let's see. We'll give a shout out to the most unusual people. You're all unusual as far as I'm concerned. And the most unusual places. And coming up, we have some news stories about Power partnering with DPD. The journey type not being considered by car fleets when electrifying vehicles. GridServe and RoadChef announced their latest hub, Tarmac, helping to deliver a trio of the UK's lowest carbon road maintenance projects. And DAF, they've given backing for zero-emission HGV and the infrastructure demonstrator programme. But first, it's competition time. We have an announcement to make. We've been running a cheeky competition to win 2 pairs of tickets, no expenses paid, to the Fully Charged Awards in Amsterdam later this month. And we've had countless entries, if you can't count beyond 3. And the winners are Lindsay Warren, founder and MD of Net Zero Evolution, and Sam Grantham of some anonymous charging network beginning with G.
He's going from the Falklands. It's amazing.
Now, Sam won because he said in his response to the competition that he wants to return to Amsterdam to find the coat he lost 6 years ago. Your wish is our command. That's just utterly brilliant. But let's get on with the news. So we'll be in touch with you both about the tickets, a pair of tickets each to go to the Fully Charged Awards in Amsterdam later this month. So Power, a leading provider of electric vehicle EV charging solutions, have partnered with DPD UK. DPD has the stated aim of becoming the UK's most sustainable delivery company, and this collaboration aims to enhance EV charging accessibility and efficiency for the firm's growing fleet of UK EV drivers. As part of the partnership, DPD's EV drivers will gain access to Power's charging network through both a physical card, still and a user-friendly mobile app. Power's network, comprising over 13,000 locations, 20,000 charge points and 39,000 connectors across 25 UK charge point operators, ensures that DPD drivers can conveniently charge their vehicles wherever their routes take them. Now then, just to give you some sense of the investment that DPD have made, they've got 3,625 EVs as of today, making over 50 million green deliveries a year. Fantastic partnership between Power and DPD. And it's interesting for me that DPD are making a very public statement that they are going to continue to charge publicly, because a lot of their drivers are not employed, as I understand it, by DPD, but they are owner-operators. Sam, you're nodding sagely, am I right?
Yeah, that's right. You are right, and it's well done to Neil and the Power team for securing such a huge fleet. I think that's just fantastic news. We see more and more commercial vehicles on our network every day, and this is obviously a great indication that large institutions that are effectively a a hive of small operators are going to be given the opportunity to get greater access to charging publicly. So, well done to DPD and well done to Neil and the power team.
Yeah, and it's always good to see an electric van, Paul, isn't it?
It's great to see an electric van, and it is great news. I do know that it is financially challenging currently. So for me, this is great news, and I if we can see electric vans charging on the public network, as long as it's not affecting productivity, because productivity is a real killer. They've got to get that balance right. There is developments going to be needed, and particularly around pricing and particularly around availability, space at these public chargers. There's a lot of challenges still yet to do, but I'm an advocate of let's get going, find the challenges and overcome them. So it's important.
That's exactly right. And Sarah, that's why I left you till last, because ultimately Paythrough and the company you work with and other software providers are able to find a lot of the solutions to some of these logistical challenges.
Yeah, but first of all, you've got to boil it down. A big question that's come up this year, particularly at Fleet and Mobility Live, is what is fleet? We're all guilty of saying the word fleet, but that could be segmented quite heavily. You've got the private driver, the employed driver, the van driver, the private car driver, the lorry driver. We need to be more careful about the word fleet. But what DPD have done so well for years is understood their driver, and what Power have done so well recently is offer a solution to that. And you're absolutely right, Peter is right in the thick of it, trying to work out how to maximise infrastructure that already exists versus infrastructure that's out and about versus infrastructure that's coming. So panicking now and taking a leap that's too far for you as a big fleet is not advisable. But DPD have been at it a long time, and I was delighted to see the news. Congrats, Team Power and DPD.
Absolutely. Ben McDonald rightly says DPD are paying for a service. Moreover, one of the best ways to improve air quality is to focus on high mileage vehicles. Quite right indeed. Now then, I don't know about you, but we're getting more and more viewers, which is fantastic. And I read out names as we go through the broadcast, because I'm really grateful for all of you coming. We all are. However, the list does get a bit long, and I do apologise if this is a boring bit, but hello, everybody. Steve Hamer from Café, bless your heart. Ashley Bannister. Daryl Sharp is at Dudley Zoo. How cool is that? What's your favourite animal at the zoo there, Daryl? David Cornish, wonder where he is. Esther Jones from the AA, love you, hug you, and all that stuff. Tim Morris from Europe Car. Oh, he's a regular. Rob Dustin, bless you. Andrea Richardson from Dynamon. Do we know of Dynamon? I think we might. Oh, yes, they sponsor. Bless your little hearts. Kirsty Robinson. Hello, Kirsty. Bless your heart for being here. Hugh Maguire, Mark Elliott. Vern Pollard from Formula Space. Golly jeepers. Now, thank you kindly. Matthew Ling, Carl Elliott, Ben McDonald, already got to mention. Bernd Herman, always enjoy saying that. If I get it wrong, Bernd, do tell me. He's in Sheffield. Not really a Sheffield name, is it, Bernd Herman? Laura Hustwick Wilkes from Power. Hello, Flower. See what I did there? I don't know why I bother. Paul O'Brien. Jordan Ware. Hello, Jordan. You're also from that bunch down there in Kent. Hello. Gemma Lovett, Nick Ansell, Sam Dewhurst, Pam Hanlon, Carl Elliott, Tom Middleditch even. Claire Leclerc. Goodness gracious. Joel Priest, Dan Martin, Jim Blair in Glasgow. Hello, mate. Sorry, he's just out the window. Andrew Laurie from Pogo Charge. Hello, my friend. And Sam Clark is also here. Bless you, Sam. Right, let's move on. More than a third, 38% of fleets, say that they did not consider the type of journeys being taken, rural, urban and motorway, when electrifying their company cars, according to new research from Arval. Arval Mobility Observatory Barometer shows that among businesses that are already operating electric vehicles, just 3% use them first in urban areas because of the air quality benefits, and only 2% on those routes thanks to better access to charging. More than half, 58%, said that they plan to use them effectively everywhere. The research also asked fleets where they plan to continue using petrol and diesel cars for longest, with more than 3/4, 79%, responding that they had no plans to use diesel or petrol for longer than previously planned on motorways or rural routes. Just 9% said that they planned on operating internal combustion engine cars for longer than they had previously planned to do, which is really interesting. Only 9% have been bothered to say, do you know what, the 2030, 2035 stuff, we're not really fazed by that. We're just going to crack on and electrify anyway. That's got to be good news. Sam, for you at GridServe, really positive.
Yeah, I mean, I do take these statistics slightly with a pinch of salt because only on the basis I'm not saying they're not inaccurate. It's just that whenever they were collated, the time's moved on so quickly. So you'll probably find the information is materially different, even if you did the assessment again straight away. So yeah, it's I guess it's not rocket science. You don't know what you don't know, and therefore people are starting to consider these types of movements and journeys more effectively than they used to, and understanding how electric vehicles work better now. And I think more and more people will start to understand the plausibility and of doing longer journeys. I've done over 1,000 miles this week, traveling all over the country, and I didn't stop to charge once. I just charged where I stopped because I needed a rest, right? And the thing that I always say. And I've done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles, and charging has not inconvenienced me for a minute. So the more that people get into that mindset and understanding how that can be done effectively, then the more vehicles we'll see on the road on longer journeys, I think.
Yeah, I think residual values is something that's kicked up in my inbox this week. And I've had a lot of people writing in and saying, do you know what? We're really struggling with EVs and residual values. And mine's going back. I'm going to lose a shed load of money. Somebody who wrote about an iPace, a shed load of money, and I won't be having an EV again. Is this the real world, or am I just getting bombarded with people who are unhappy about RVs? Paul?
Sadly, so residual values in cars seem to be bouncing off the bottom now. So we kind of got to a low point where what we've got is this understanding in the first market, and then we've got a new market to educate. We ourselves know from our time spent educating, training, doing some stuff with motorway, that 40-50% of dealers don't even want to buy an electric vehicle because they just don't know what to do with it. They don't know what should come with it. They're worried about battery health. They've got a number of things that are on their mind. Now, we might know that actually battery health is not a problem, and we know how to use it, and we know what charging cables should come with it. But in that market, they don't, and we need to help them. Vans are struggling with a little bit on residual value. We've just seen some unhelpful market activity from some of the guides, and there is a real challenge around getting them out. There's some that are really popular. I'm seeing, to me, MV200 is still really popular, but it's a troublesome time, a little bit rocky. We need to help the used market. It's really important.
I think what that stems from is a greater push to transition what Sarah has defined as fleets, those very complex beasts. Because if we continue the transition knowing that RVs will change and will improve, that ultimately we will see more into the used market and we'll see more uptake of electric vehicles. But it is a tough time at the moment, Sarah, in the marketplace, isn't it?
The numbers do speak for themselves. There's a fantastic report out by Auto Trader at the moment that was featured at the EV World Congress that shows those residual values over the last few years. And essentially, you do lose a huge chunk in that first year. But then when you keep that vehicle for 2 or 3 years, that virtually shifts not at all. And there's lots of changes you can make to your usage that helps you recuperate that difference. But it does make a confidence piece. But the losses with the 40 grand diesel was the same. So I think that's the issue to think about, is if you're purchasing a car outright, it's going to lose value around 40 to 50% in the first year. Everybody knows that. That is why I lease, because even though I'm probably paying through the nose for my vehicle, I'm paying a manageable amount that I'm comfortable with, that is comparable, on par with what I was paying for my diesel. So I think it is a no-brainer for a private driver like me, but I do understand that vans and fleets with their broad categories might not have such a simplistic case.
Jim Blair from Arnold Clark says RVs on electric cars are a serious problem right now. They've fallen too far, but as you say, Paul, should bounce back soon. So, that's right from the horse's tail, I suppose. Jim Blair, bless your heart. Because it's all a bit pooey. Anyway, let's move on. I said that out loud, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Okay, I now like I'm thinking his sheep. That's more the case.
That's because you live in the countryside. GridServe and RoadChef have announced the latest electric super hub at Chester Services, which is located at Junction 14 on the M56 motorway. The two firms recently announced plans to expand their electric vehicle charging facilities at RoadChef motorway service areas in the UK, following the first two hubs at Watford Gap North and South in September. It also follows RoadChef's first Super 8 roadside hotel, with EV charging options of 12 high-powered chargers and 6 AC chargers on site for customers to use overnight. Other locations will soon include the hubs, which consist of a minimum of 6 350 kilowatt capable chargers, including at Bothwell on the M74, yes, Annandale Water, A74M, yes, that's Scotland by the way, and Sandbach on the M6, which I use a great deal. Yes, thank you GridServe, thank you Sam.
Don't thank me, but certainly the grid safety. I can't keep up. I literally can't keep up. There's so many hubs opening so quickly. It's amazing. My long journey this week, I was looking at where one of our new super hubs might be convenient for me to stop on the A1M, and then I discovered every single service station on the A1M has a super hub on it already. So yeah, it's great. And we broke ground on Stevenage as well, John, just yesterday for the next electric forecourt. So yeah, whether it be collaborations with Roadchef, with Moto, or building electric forecourts, the rate of growth is just stellar, and long may it continue. It's great for the industry, and I'm very proud to be part of it, to be honest.
Is it sometimes the first time you hear of these things when the news happens?
Yeah, it is. Seriously? I mean, we I think I said the other week, we opened up 4 sites in a day. It's that doesn't always happen, of course, but and we're having a lot of challenges at the moment as well with the weather and the storms and the water has knocked us back a bit, but they're short term. It's quite often I find things out on the media, which is fine. It's great. So progress.
You, John, to be fair, like you also, I don't read the news before you say it, so it's nice for me to hear. And I know that's why a lot of our viewers tune in too. On this charging because I've stopped thing, it's worth noting that grids have obviously are rolling out across the motorway network and main road network. The other CPOs are also doing a fantastic job off the motorway network. So I've also done 1,000 miles this week. I didn't have such luxury. I had to plan where I was going to stop so that I could charge at the same time. So on the motorway network, yes. Outside, kudos to all of them, including Osprey and Instavolt, who are really leading the way in making sure those rural areas are catered for as well.
Yeah, it's fabulous to see. And Paul, it's great to be. I know we've got challenges in the industry, but I was talking to somebody earlier in the week and was saying that it's a real privilege to be involved in an industry which is showing signs of growth. And we see so much hardship and so much that is quite depressing in the news. And yet here we are every day being able to play our part, a very small part, but a part nonetheless, in something which is growing exponentially and can do some good.
Yeah, I think the community and the sort of business element of the community that we have is a great privilege to be a part of. And, to think back to 3 years ago when we first kicked this off and, we were all in lockdown wondering what on earth was going to happen. And now here we are. And I think the trajectory of this industry is quite incredible. And people need to take a lot of confidence from that. Yes, we can see challenges, used vehicle values, charging for vans and trucks and all those sorts of things. But we also hear about the innovation that's coming and the opportunity that's coming as well. And isn't it exciting to be such a positive part of this incredible change that we all are seeing around about us and to make a real difference? It's something that we all live for, isn't it?
And every cloud has a silver lining, I guess. If the RVs are low, used prices
are good,
are low. So now is the time. If you want to buy a used electric vehicle, fire in, my friends. Okay, let's move on.
Said exactly that.
Yeah, I know. That's why I stole his comment. And thank you, Michael. I should have credited you for it. I don't think these things up for myself. I'm an idiot. 3 local roads in the northeast have become the lowest carbon highways ever to be resurfaced in the UK, thanks to a number of partners who've worked together to decarbonise every element of delivery, working in partnership with Hartlepool Borough Council and Stockton-on-Tees Borough Council, together with international partners including Shell, Volvo CE, Wirtgen and JCB. Tarmac, a CRH company, has reduced the carbon emissions of the road schemes by up to 80% compared to projects using traditional methods. It's understood these projects have the lowest CO2 emissions for road surfacing in the UK without using carbon offsetting. So it's genuine carbon savings. Impressive. The project team combined an extensive range of low carbon materials, techniques and plant equipment for the very first time to resurface a section of the A689 in Wynyard near Hartlepool and 2 residential roads in Stockton-on-Tees. This is great news, isn't it? This isn't greenwash. This is absolutely cast iron. We haven't embedded any carbon. We haven't created carbon. It's carbon, pretty well neutral. Sarah, happy days.
It's better than that. It's creating a carbon sink. So a sink is where it draws carbon out of the atmosphere and stores it away. Now, that doesn't work for when you reforest and then cut down that type of tree unless you're choosing a long life deciduous forest to reforest. But when you do something like this, so that carbon gets trapped in that road. I don't know how the science works with how that road deteriorates over the next 10 to 15 years. I know they've got a technical director at Tarmac that I would love to get on. I think you all laughed at me when I enthused about my quarry excitement last time we talked about roads. But this is it. The National Highways Network is a huge opportunity to not only reforest, but also have a carbon sink right under every tyre.
And we've got to be careful. You were very, very specific in what you said there about the trees, replanting single species trees.
Drives me insane, John. It's my biggest annoyance. Oh, we're carbon neutral because we've paid somebody to plant a load of trees, probably in an environment that they're not welcome or that would have made way for a different type of soil. You have to be so careful where you plant your money to do your offsetting. Meaningful offsetting can be so much more effective and longer term.
And Paul, we're developing ESG courses at the moment to explore that very, very issue, which is why it's so key for us. In that, we think we're doing the right thing, but actually sometimes we're doing more harm than good with this carbon offsetting nonsense.
I think, I'm nowhere near as knowledgeable as Sarah on the subject of carbon offsetting. It sounds like a great idea. I always tick the box when do you want to offset your carbon? Yes, I do, actually. Tick, I will do that. But I don't know what that looks like. And I think ESG really is all about acting diligently to get this bit right, to positively impact sustainability, to consider all the elements of E and S and G, environment, social governance. How do we accelerate this positivity and how do we make it work for us? I think it's a real challenge, and it's an important area that we've kind of tried to cover with this ESG course that we're putting out, to give people an opportunity to properly understand this sector or this subject and make positive change and create plans that are meaningful.
Yeah, it's about doing something, right? Starting from somewhere. And I know I just had a little soapbox moment for offsetting, but we're learning all the time. Like, nobody anywhere wants to waste their money. Nobody anywhere wants to have a knock-on effect, an issue elsewhere. There's plenty of horror stories out there of where offsetting's gone horribly wrong in Africa or India, where somebody's just bought a plot of land and ruined it with some kind of offsetting scheme. But here in the UK, we're a lot more diligent, a lot more focused, and I like to believe that nobody wants to do a bad thing. We definitely want to be doing. I was even at the cinema last night watching Trolls with my daughter, and they had an advert about Just Dig It, which is a UK company that makes the trees planted in the correct places, and they're protected for a number of years, so that carbon sink effect can have a decent measure.
You must have a thing about trolls. You went to see them last night, and then you appear with them in the morning. And
someone talked about Just Dig It literally the second that you were speaking about it, Sarah. Something popped up. LinkedIn user, anonymous user.
LinkedIn user, whoever you are, but yeah, it's really interesting.
As the words came out of your mouth, it appeared on screen.
That's so nice.
Well, I saw it and put it there, but anyway.
Oh, thanks.
So you're the LinkedIn user, are you?
I was going to say,
No,
Tim Morris.
It highlighted it. It'd been there for a minute or two, but then when Sarah mentioned it, I put it up.
Tim Morris from
thank
Europe.
you, Tim. I'll check that out. What I'd really like to see, though, genuinely like to see, is if anyone's got any schemes out there, like the best way to protect a ring of trees is if you have, say, protected woodland at a school or a cemetery or some kind of community centre. Why can't we divert corporate money to a local project like that, where those trees are going to rest and they don't have the money to replant their own trees in their own backyard anyway? But that's not allowed because that doesn't qualify for the certificate. I find that very frustrating.
Isn't it just? Tim Morris is saying that from Europcar says should check out Wee Forest, and that's WE Forest, because in Scotland a wee forest is a small wood. Anyway, Daft Trucks has welcomed funding from the government and Innovate UK for the Zero Emission HGV and Infrastructure Demonstrator Programme. We might be going to Sam later for a comment. DAF, XD Electric and XF Electric tractor units will form part of a 370 vehicle fleet comprised primarily of battery electric, plus some hydrogen-fueled trucks. They will be rolled out through 4 consortia made up of numerous stakeholders, each with responsibility to demonstrate higher weight, longer distance, zero-emission operations and associated infrastructure. And clearly GridServe are heading up that project. And it's interesting to me that we have hydrogen as part of an EHGV project, because hydrogen vehicles are electric. Hydrogen is merely the vector by which we move electricity. It is the carrier bag for energy. It is electric all the way. And so we've got a lot of people who have a real issue with hydrogen, but actually hydrogen does have a place, doesn't it, Sam?
No, so it's the carrier bag with broken straps, I think. Yeah, no, look, if we have to put some money towards proving that it doesn't work, then so be it. But obviously, the vast majority of the ZERF project, or now ZEHIT project, Zero Emission HGV Infrastructure Demonstrator Program, because they changed the name just before we announced it, which is great. Is obviously predominantly electric, and hopefully we will be able to demonstrate with DAF and with others, with Scania and Volvo and many of the others, some material differences. Now, look, if hydrogen transpires to work, to be commercially viable, to be efficient, and to be able to generate energy in a green and clean fashion, then I shall be all for it. But if it doesn't meet those criteria, then it is a fool's errand. But we shall see, and that's what the demonstrators are here to do, I suppose. But battery electric is definitely the future, in my humble opinion.
Well,
which is powered potentially by hydrogen. But because the batteries can be quite significant, and they have a fuel cell that creates energy and gets vehicles up to 1,000 kilometers without even stopping to charge, potentially. Now, you cannot dismiss this. I feel it should be embraced positively on
the van side. Earlier in the news, you highlighted cost challenges with EVs, but you can't ignore that fact when it comes to another technology which is astronomically expensive and inefficient.
Different stages of this. Of course, it's expensive. The trucks themselves are expensive, which is why the government has had to throw 200 million at it to get it started. Look, this thing needs getting started, and we need to invest to develop the technology that will answer the questions that the market has. It's no point in going, we've not really tested it, we've not really looked at the opportunities, but it's rubbish and we'll just can it.
Yeah, we need, whereas I actually need to invest in this stuff with actual money, and we've got to get on with it. But there is no time to test hydrogen for 10 years. It's simply not the case. We had Richard on the other week talking about this emergency that we're all scientifically and evidently proven. We need solutions and technology that is applicable right now, not in 5 or 10 years time. Too late.
It is applicable right now. There are options today
that you've invested in, right? You've invested in hydrogen, have you?
No,
I have.
No,
I have.
No, of course you haven't.
I have. I've invested 23 million in it.
Electric. Anyway,
12 years ago, we put 10 hydrogen buses into Aberdeen, built an electrolyser as part of a major European project, and those buses are still running in Aberdeen, and Scottish Police are now using Mirais and other vehicles. We've got hydrogen refuse trucks. I think the point is that we are divided on this, and there's absolutely no point in having a punch-up in that any technology that can help decarbonise and get some of the garbage off the roads has to be good. And if we're using energy that we're not currently capturing, so renewables, for instance, but can be put into hydrogen and then transferred back, even though we lose 70% of the energy, that's still 30% we wouldn't have captured. So it's got to be better than just pretending that we don't want it in the first place, because we do.
Yeah, better has to be commercially viable, as I constantly say. And as Michael Barton said, Liverpool Council as an example that proved hydrogen doesn't work, right? So, it has to be commercially viable and environmentally sustainable. Otherwise, it is not a solution.
You're completely right, Sam. Nobody would disagree. Sarah, you're staying incredibly quiet. Your views on hydrogen?
1,000 miles is very tempting, but I watched a bit of the EV Summit back, and just the reminder that there's like 2,000 days or something to make a meaningful difference. I just worry that I think there's a proportion of the market that will really benefit from that 1,000 miles. I think that technology in battery trucks is going really well. The fact that we've nailed our colours to the mast, this huge investment in these trial projects gives me heart and hope. And the fact that the infrastructure is coming along for the private use cars, I feel hydrogen has a use case, perhaps not in the UK.
I think Ashley Bannister summarises this beautifully in the comments when he says maybe in several years hydrogen might be viable, but right now it's costly and inefficient. Can't argue with any of that. Well said. Thank you all for joining us this morning. If you've got any clean transport, PR or news stories you'd like us to cover, please send them to us at hello@evcafe.org. Until next Friday, it's goodbye from me It's goodbye from them.
Bye.
Bye.
This has been an EV Cafe production brought to you this week by the London EV Show, the EV show in London. Other sustainability news services are available, but this is just funner. Thank you, Sam. The EV Cafe is truly blessed to be partnered with Geotab, EV Civil Solutions, the AA, Churchill Insurance, Plug Me In, Paythrough, Zaptec, Spiri, Hydrock, Interval, Kersha, and McIntyre Hudson. We are the EV Cafe, supporting the transition to clean transport. Enjoy the rest of your day and your weekend, wherever it takes you. Stay safe, stay out of the storms. Love you lots. Until next Friday, bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Austin, bye all. Great discussions and fantastic viewing. Ooh.